The battlefield was silent now. Burned ships lay broken across the cracked ground. Smoke rose from deep craters, and the air smelled of metal, ash, and death. No one came here anymore. Not even scavengers dared enter the ruins of the last great space battle, but one man walked alone. His name was Daxon. A human with a scar across his cheek and a heavy backpack on his shoulder. He wasn't a soldier anymore. Now he searched the forgotten places looking for tech to sell. Looking for things no one else would touch. His boots crunched, unshattered. Glass from a destroyed command module, the sky above him was a pale gray. Lit by a sun that barely shined, Daxon scanned the wreckage with a handheld device. Nothing valuable, he muttered, turning to leave. Then he heard it, a faint sound, soft and strange, like a whimper or a cry. He froze. Was it a broken machine making noise, or something else? The sound came again, this time clearer. A small, helpless cry, like that of a baby. Daxon's heart skipped. He followed the sound. Climbing over twisted metal, wires, and scorched panels, he stopped near a half-buried escape pod. The door was dented, the walls blackened by fire, but inside, something moved, very slowly. He pushed open the door. There, lying under torn cloth and blinking red lights, was a tiny alien infant. Its skin was pale blue, smooth and soft, with glowing patterns like stars across its forehead. Its eyes were big and dark, full of fear, and it was crying softly, like it was too tired to scream. Daxon stepped back, shocked. He had never seen this kind of alien before. It didn't look like any of the warrior species that fought in this war. It looked gentle, innocent. His scanner buzzed in warning. Unknown species, it said. Genetic signature contains high threat potential. Daxon stared at the child. It couldn't be more than a few weeks old. Thin, weak, almost frozen. It didn't even lift its arms to him. It just cried, softly, as if it already knew no one would help. He could walk away. He should walk away. The smart thing would be to turn back and leave it here. Let nature's scavengers take care of it. But then the baby looked at him. Just one look. Something shifted. Inside his chest, a memory long buried came back. His daughter, his wife. Both lost during Earth's last orbital attack. The same cry, the same eyes. He took a deep breath, then stepped forward. Carefully, he reached into the pod and lifted the child. It was so light, so fragile. Its skin was warm against his glove. The baby blinked once, then made a soft sound like a sigh, and stopped crying. "I must be insane," Daxon whispered, cradling the baby close. "This is how people die." His scanner blinked again, this time louder. Multiple drones approaching. Motion sensors picking up movement across the ridge. Searchers looking for any survivors or evidence. If they found him with the child, they'd shoot on sight. Daxon looked around, heart pounding. There was no time to reach his ship. He ran. Diving behind the broken hull of a large battlecruiser, he crouched low. Covering the child with a heat blanket, hiding her glow, the drones passed overhead, humming like angry bees. His body froze, every muscle tight. One mistake, one beep, and they'd find him. But after a long minute, the sound faded. The drones were gone. He let out a shaky breath, still clutching the baby. Her tiny fingers had wrapped around his gloved finger. Holding on, he looked down at her. "You've just made me the most wanted man in the sector," he said softly. The baby only looked up at him. Calm now, like she trusted him, like she had chosen him. In that moment, Daxon made a choice. He wasn't just going to run. He wasn't just going to sell her or dump her at the next station. He was going to protect her. Whatever she was, whoever wanted her, he would fight them all, because in a dead battlefield full of ashes and metal, he had found something still alive, still warm, still innocent, and that made her worth saving, even if it meant the galaxy would come for him. The small stolen shuttle shuddered as it left the dead moon's orbit. Daxon held the controls tightly, glancing down at the alien infant wrapped in cloth beside him. She didn't cry, didn't move. She only stared up at him, her glowing eyes full of something strange, something deep. Daxon flew through the debris field, dodging pieces of broken warships and floating metal. He had to stay low, under the radar. Enemy scanners were still active in this sector. They would not forget the child. And they definitely wouldn't forget the man who took her. "Hang on, little one," he whispered. Adjusting the controls, the engines coughed and sparked. But they held together. He had stolen this shuttle years ago, and it was falling apart like everything else. But it was fast, and right now. Speed was everything. After 2 long hours, he reached the edge of the old war zone. He activated a stealth field weak, barely working, but enough to blur their signal. Then, finally, he let himself breathe. He looked down at the child. Her skin glowed faintly under the blanket. Her patterns were shifting like stars, slowly dancing. He had no idea what that meant. He gave her a name, softly. "Nara," he said. "You look like a Nara." The baby blinked, then closed her eyes. As if she liked the name, he reached for his scanner again. This time, he checked more carefully every signal, every frequency, and that's when he found it. A tiny spike coming from the baby's left shoulder, a small tracking signal. Pulsing out every few seconds, his face went cold. "They're tracking you," he said. He grabbed his surgical kit and laid the baby gently on the side seat. She didn't cry, even when the needle touched her skin. She just stared at him, silent. And calm, he removed the tracker, a tiny silver bead, no larger than a grain of sand. He crushed it with the heel of his boot, but the damage was done. That last signal would have reached someone, somewhere, far across the galaxy. On a shining black throne deep inside a floating palace, an alien woman sat still. Her skin was silver gray. With eyes like burning suns, she opened them slowly, then turned to her guards. "The heir lives," she said. "Send the message to the bounty networks within minutes." Every bounty board in every sector lit up with a new alert. Target, human male, ex-soldier, scavenger, named Daxon Gray. Status, armed and dangerous. Wanted, alive. Or mostly alive. Reward, unlimited secondary target. Unknown infant. High priority asset, return intact. Back in the shuttle. Daxon didn't know how fast the net was spreading, but his instincts screamed at him. He was being hunted now. He set the course for Station Drift 7. A lawless repair outpost hidden inside a mining asteroid. There, no one asked questions, but even so, it was not safe as he entered the outer ring. His ship was scanned by pirate drones. One sent a challenge, "You carrying cargo?" Daxon replied, "Just junk and fuel cells." He powered up his fake cargo signature, hiding the baby's energy completely. They let him pass, but he knew eyes were already watching inside the station. He wrapped Nara in thick cloth and strapped her to his chest. He moved through the crowd fast. Buying engine parts and fuel cells, he kept his head low. He didn't stop. He could feel it. Someone was following him. He turned a corner, slipped into an old smuggler tunnel, and waited. Sure enough, a shadow crept behind him. He slammed the person into the wall, knife to their throat. It was a young man, trembling. "I wasn't following you," the boy said. "I swear, I just your face. It's on every board." Daxon froze. The bounty had gone live faster than he thought. He let the boy go and ran. People were already whispering. Some turned to look. Some followed with greedy eyes. He returned to the ship just in time. 2 mercenaries in black armor stood near it, scanning. One of them looked up and grinned. "That your ship?" he asked. Daxon didn't answer. He just fired. A stun blast hit the first one in the neck. The second ducked, pulling a blaster. Daxon rolled. Fired again, hit the fuel tanks. An explosion ripped through the dock. He jumped into the cockpit and hit the emergency liftoff. The ship shot out of the station like a comet. Alarms blaring behind him. Nara was still wrapped against his chest, breathing softly. Daxon's hands shook. His chest burned from smoke, but he was alive. They were alive. He sat back in the seat, wiped sweat from his face. "You're not just any baby, are you?" He whispered to her. She looked at him, then strangely smiled just a little. As if she knew more than she should, he stared out at the stars. They were both fugitives now. But something in his gut told him this was only the beginning. The stars outside looked calm, but inside Daxon's ship, the tension grew like fire. The engines were holding, barely. The weapons were empty, and his food was low. Worse, he had no idea who or what this child really was. Nara, the alien infant, had not cried once. She watched everything silent, still, glowing faintly. Her skin patterns moved like slow waves, soft lights under her skin. Sometimes they changed color when he spoke. Sometimes they pulsed when danger was near. He had never seen anything like her. And after what happened at Drift 7, he knew he needed answers fast. He checked his ship's hidden map, a list of contacts from his old days. Most were dead, or worse, but one name blinked green. Dr. Verna Kell, a rogue xenogeneticist hiding in the city of Karn Reach. She used to work with alien DNA in secret labs before the war burned everything. If anyone could tell him what Nara was, it was her. He landed the ship inside a junkyard dock, hidden from orbital scans. Karn Reach was dirty, hot, and loud. A key. A planet full of broken tech, broken laws, and broken people. Perfect for someone like him. He wrapped Nara in thick cloth, hiding her glow. Then walked through the narrow alleys, past neon signs and shouting traders. Everyone was armed. Everyone was watching. But no one saw the baby on his chestnut yet. He reached a rusted door with a skull logo on it. He knocked 3 times. Then, once again, the door slid open with a groan. A woman stood inside, tall. Half her face replaced with a metal plate, Daxon gray. She said flatly, "I thought you were dead." "Not yet," he replied. "I need answers." She let him in. The lab was filled with alien organs in glass tubes, scanners, surgical tables, and old data cores. Verna looked at the bundle on his chest. "Is that a baby?" She asked, confused. "Not just any baby," Daxon said, slowly unwrapping Nara. The moment her skin was exposed, Verna stepped back. Her eyes widened, her voice turned sharp. "Where did you get her?" she demanded. "Wreckage on the Varn." "Moon," Daxon replied. She was alone, barely alive. Verna ran scans immediately. Red lights blinked, systems hissed, and the room filled with data. She stopped, staring at the screen in shock. "This is impossible," she whispered. "What? Is she?" Daxon asked. "She's not just a child," Verna said. "She's a biological construct, part royal, part weapon, part ancient." "Ancient," Daxon repeated. Verna nodded. "Her DNA holds sequences older than any empire, older than most species. She carries genetic keys, codes meant to unlock something. Maybe a vault, maybe a weapon. I can't tell." Daxon's throat tightened. Why would they put that inside a baby? "Because," Verna said, "no one suspects a child. She's a key, Daxon. And you've been walking around the galaxy holding her in your arms." Suddenly, Nara reached toward Verna's screen. The screen flickered, glitched, then showed something different, an image, coordinates, a map, and strange alien symbols. Daxon and Verna stared in silence. "She just hacked my system without touching it," Verna said, shocked. "I think she's learning, evolving, fast." Daxon looked down at the child. She smiled up at him, glowing slightly. But then the lab's alarms went off. "Unknown signal detected," Verna shouted. Someone just pinged your location, Daxon cursed. They found me again. Get out. Now, Verna said, handing him a small data core. This holds everything I found. Use it, and Daxon, be careful. People will kill for what's inside her. He ran, holding Nara tight. Outside, the street was filled with smoke and panic. 2 bounty hunters in red armor were scanning crowds. One of them pointed, their human with a child. Daxon sprinted through the alley, lasers cutting past his head. He ducked under metal signs, leaped over trash bins, and slipped into a sewer hatch. The hunters followed, but he was faster. He climbed into his ship, hit the engines, and blasted into the sky. The ship shook, alarms blared. But they made it out. For now, they were safe again. He sat in the pilot's seat, breathing hard. Nara was calm, eyes closed, glowing softly. He looked at the data core Verna gave him. The screen blinked with the words, "The vault must stay closed." Daxon frowned. "What vault?" he muttered. But deep down, he already knew Nara wasn't just some royal secret. She was part of something big, ancient, and dangerous. And now, the whole galaxy would come for them. Daxon followed the coordinates stored in the data core. They led him far beyond the trade lanes, beyond the mapped sectors, into a region of space marked on old charts as Sector Null. No patrols, no colonies. No stations, just silence and forgotten things. As the ship entered orbit around a dead star, Daxon saw something strange. Massive alien structures floated in silence, shaped like rings and spires. Dark metal shimmered like glass, twisted into impossible forms. Some looked broken, others still pulsed with dim blue light. It felt ancient, untouched by time. He checked the scans. There were no life signs, no energy spikes. Yet, deep inside one of the largest structures, a single signal blinked, a beacon calling to something. Or someone. Nara sat quietly beside him. She had stopped glowing since they arrived. Her skin patterns dimmed as if the place affected her too. But her eyes were locked on the largest structure. She reached a tiny hand toward it. Not speaking, just feeling. "You know this place," Daxon whispered. She turned to him slowly and gave a single nod. Then her forehead glowed with a sharp pulse. And the ship's autopilot suddenly kicked in. "Wait, what are you doing?" Daxon shouted, but the controls ignored him. The ship moved on its own. Guided by something Nara had triggered, it flew through ancient gates, around floating towers, and into a long tunnel of metal and stone. Finally, it stopped before a giant, sealed door marked with alien symbols. The ship powered down. Everything went quiet. Daxon stood up and checked his blaster. He lifted Nara into his arms and stepped out into the silent hallway. The air was cold, but breathable. Lights flickered on as they walked. Ancient systems sensing their presence, they reached the sealed door. Nara wriggled out of his arms and placed her hand on the metal. Her glow returned bright, wild, alive. Symbols lit up around her palm. And the door slowly opened with a deep hum. Behind it was a massive chamber filled with lights and floating platforms. In the center stood an orb of black glass, the size of a house. It spun slowly, humming with power, and around it hovered a glowing AI construct, shaped like a figure in a flowing robe. The AI spoke, its voice layered and deep. "You bring the key." Daxon stepped forward cautiously. "What is this place?" he asked. The AI turned. "This is the Vault of Forbidden Stars," it said. "Created by the ancients to store the timeline engine." Timeline engine. Daxon frowned. The AI nodded. "A machine that can erase, rewrite, or reset entire futures. It was sealed when your wars began. The key to opening it was hidden in a living vessel, reborn in each generation." Daxon looked at Nara. "She's the key," he said slowly. "Yes." The AI replied. "But the engine must not be used. Too many futures have died already. Daxon felt a chill run down his spine. Why bring us here then? Because the signal was activated, the AI said. The Empress knows. Just then, alarms echoed through the vault. A massive ship appeared outside Sleek Royal, covered in gold armor. Inside the command chamber stood the silver-skinned Empress. Her golden eyes burned with fire as she spoke. Prepare to breach the vault. She ordered, "My daughter is inside." On the ground, Daxon saw the vault door tremble again. The AI turned to him. "You must choose," it said. "She is the last of her kind, but she is also the key to a weapon no one should touch." The vault began shaking. Daxon looked at Nara. She stood in front of the timeline engine. Glowing brighter than ever, power danced around her feet. Lifting her slightly into the air, "She doesn't understand what she's doing." Daxon shouted, "She's just a child." "Children become the future," the AI replied. "Will you guide her, or let her be taken?" Outside, the Empress's ship launched drilling claws into the structure. Guards in black armor stormed the tunnels. They were minutes away. Daxon ran to Nara and pulled her into his arms. She was hot to the touch, full of energy, but she didn't resist. She looked at him with deep eyes, calm, steady, trusting. "We're leaving," he said. Turning to the II, "Seal the vault again, but the engine, seal it," Daxon snapped. "I'm not letting anyone use that. Not her, not them, not anyone." The AI hesitated, then nodded. As Daxon ran back down the glowing hallway, doors began closing behind him. Metal slammed shut. Lights dimmed, systems locked down. By the time the Empress's soldiers arrived, the vault was already sealed again. All they found was silence and dust. Daxon escaped through an old maintenance tube. Reaching his ship just in time, he blasted off. Leaving the vault and the Empress behind, he looked at Nara as she rested against him. Exhausted but safe, he didn't know where they would go next. But he knew the vault would remain hidden. The weapon would stay sealed, and Nara would grow up free, not as a weapon, but as something else, something better. Daxon's ship limped through deep space. The engine whined with every pulse, and the outer hull sparked from the Empress's final barrage. But somehow, they had escaped. Inside the cockpit, Nara slept in his arms. Her glow had dimmed, but she was still warm, still breathing. Daxon stared out the viewport at the endless stars. His mind was racing. He had faced soldiers, bounty hunters, AI guardians, and the Empress herself. And through it all, he had protected the child. But one question kept spinning in his head. Was he her guardian, or just the one holding her until someone stronger took over? He set course for a hidden moon he once used as a smuggler's drop. Veryl's Shadow, a frozen rock with underground caves and no satellites. No one would find them there, not for a while. He needed time to think. To decide, what would he do with her now? He wrapped Nara in a thermal blanket and stepped out into the icy wind. The cave's mouth opened wide, like a sleeping giant's jaws. Inside, the heat from the core kept it just warm enough to survive. He started a fire, lit old lanterns, and set up his portable heater. Nara woke slowly, blinking up at him. Her glowing lines pulsed faintly in the firelight. She touched his face. Just once, a soft image appeared in his mind, not words, but feelings. She showed him her fear. The vault. The Empress. The endless pressure to be something powerful, but she didn't want power. She wanted peace, warmth, safety. Daxon sat back against the stone wall. "I'm not your father," he said quietly. "But maybe that doesn't matter." He pulled out Verna's data core again and played. The hidden files, logs from before the war, notes from scientists, fragments of plans. The key must be born naturally. One voice said, "Only then can the weapon be activated safely." But what if she chooses not to activate it? Another asked, "Then the galaxy survives." The voice replied, "But the Empress won't let that happen." Daxon shut it off. His jaw clenched. He understood now. The Empress didn't just want her daughter back, she wanted her programmed destiny to come true, even if it meant forcing it. That night, Daxon couldn't sleep. He stared at the fire while Nara rested beside him. At some point, she crawled closer and curled up against his side. Like she knew he was the only one who ever said no to all the chaos. By morning, he had made up his mind he would stop running. He wouldn't hide her anymore. He would raise her, protect her, teach her not as a weapon, but as a person. He stood up and whispered, "You're not the galaxy's tool. Nara, you're mine now." Suddenly, a sound echoed through the cave metal boots on stone. Daxon turned, blaster drawn. A figure stepped into the firelight, tall, armored in silver and black. Behind him, 6 more followed, weapons ready. The lead soldier removed their helmet. It was a woman, not the Empress, but similar, eyes glowing gold, face sharp and proud. "I am Commander Tessa," she said, "sent by the Empress to bring the child back. She's not going anywhere." Daxon replied, aiming his blaster, "She's not a thing to own." Tessa tilted her head. "She's not just a child. She is our legacy, our rebirth. She's not yours," Daxon growled. "She's not anyone's, not anymore." Nara stood behind him now, watching the soldiers with wide eyes. Her glow returned strong, steady, pulsing with strange energy. But she didn't attack. She didn't cry. She simply placed her hand on Daxon's back, and he felt her message, "Let me choose." Daxon lowered his weapon. "Nara," he said gently, "this is your choice." The soldiers waited, weapons still raised. The child stepped forward. Glowing bright, she looked at Commander Tessa, then shook her head. She turned and reached for Daxon's hand. Everyone in the cave saw it. She had chosen. Tessa's face twitched. "She refuses," she said quietly. "Then she is lost to us." She turned and left without a fight. The soldiers followed, disappearing into the snowy mist. No attack, no battle, just silence. Daxon looked down at Nara. "You sure about this?" She smiled again, and that was enough. He packed their things, fixed the ship's stabilizer, and left the frozen moon behind. This time, not as a fugitive, but as a father. He didn't know what their future held, but he knew one thing for sure. He wouldn't let the galaxy take her again. Daxon flew the ship through a quiet part of space. No bounty hunters, no warships, no signals. Just stars, silence, and the soft humming of old engines. Nara sat beside him, wrapped in a warm blanket, her eyes staring at the stars. She looked like a baby, but Daxon knew better now. She was more than she seemed, far more, since they left. Veryl's shadow, she had started changing, not in body, but in behavior. She no longer just watched or followed. She began to lead. She pointed to star maps, guided his hand on controls. Sometimes she even whispered in his mind, not words, but feelings, images, directions. Daxon didn't understand it, but he trusted her. She had chosen him, and he had chosen her. Now he would follow wherever this path led. The ship's autopilot blinked. New coordinates appeared on the screen. Daxon hadn't entered. He looked at Nara. She nodded slowly. "We're going there, aren't we?" he asked. She didn't speak, but he already knew the answer. The ship changed course toward a massive gas planet. Orbiting it was a forgotten station, huge, cracked, dark. Its name was barely readable on the hull. Ashix. This place wasn't on any charts, Daxon muttered as they landed. Systems inside the station slowly woke up. Lights flickered. Air pressure stabilized. Doors unlocked, like it had been waiting for them. Daxon carried Nara through the long halls. They passed rooms filled with pods, broken machines, shattered glass, Old data screens showed flickering logs. This was once a research station, advanced, ancient, and secret. In the center of the main chamber was a seed, almost like a throne, but shaped for a child, not a ruler. It pulsed softly with the same glow that lived inside Nara. She reached out, drawn to it. "No," Daxon said quickly, stepping in front. "Of her, not until we know what this is," a voice echoed through the chamber. "Not a person, but an AI, ancient and smooth. Welcome, last key of the prime line." Daxon raised his weapon. "State your purpose." He said. The AI ignored him. It spoke to Nara. "You have returned to complete the link. The mind of the key must sync with the past." Nara stepped forward, slipping past Daxon. She touched the seat, and light burst across the room. Data. Streams flowed in the air, spinning around her. Her eyes glowed bright. Her feet lifted from the ground. "Nara!" Daxon shouted, reaching out, but he couldn't move. The entire station locked down, holding everything in place. Then, silence. Except for one thing. Nara's voice inside his head. Clear now. No longer just emotions, real words. "I remember." She whispered. "I was born before the stars fell. I've been reborn many times. Each time smaller, each time weaker. They made me this way so I wouldn't destroy again." Daxon's heart pounded. "What are you saying?" "I was made to hold the timeline engine," she said. "I once broke worlds, erased mistakes, and fixed time like stitching cloth, but I became dangerous, unstable. So they sealed me inside this body, to rest, to forget." She showed him memories, entire planets erased, timelines rewritten, children turned into weapons, lovers erased to win wars. Daxon trembled. "This power, no one should have it. Not even her. But I don't want that," she said softly. "I don't want to be their tool, their fix, their mistake. I want to be real, not a reset button." Daxon's voice cracked. "Then stop this. Walk away with me. Live a life, not a command." She opened her eyes, brighter now, deeper. "I'm trying. But the link must be broken. If not, they'll always find me, always use me." "How?" he asked. "I need your help," she said. "You must go to the memory core and shut it down. It powers my connection to the engine." Daxon didn't wait. He ran through the station, following the glowing path Nara had shown in his mind. He reached a tall tower of light and memory. Inside, swirling energy hummed like thunder. He placed his hand on the shutdown panel. "Are you sure?" The system asked. "This will erase all stored timelines, all backup codes, all prime links." "Yes," he said without hesitation. "Nara deserves a future, not a past." He pressed the button. Light surged. Systems screamed. Then everything went dark. Back in the main chamber, Nara fell gently to the floor. Daxon rushed to her, caught her in his arms. Her glow had faded, but not gone. Her mind free. She opened her eyes slowly. "I'm just me now," she said quietly. No more voices, no more commands. Daxon held her tightly. "You're not a weapon," he said. "You're my daughter." And for the first time, she smiled not. A knowing smile, not a programmed one, but the real smile of a child finally free. The ship floated silently above a blue and green planet. Its name was Illyra, a world untouched by war. A place where old machines slept beneath flowers, and no flags had ever been planted. Daxon stared at it from the cockpit, one hand resting on Nara's small shoulder. She was different now, still a child, still gentle, but no longer glowing like a weapon. No more whispers from ancient vaults, no more signals tracking her through space. The station where her mind had awakened was gone, burned from the inside when Daxon shut the core. Nara had been freed not just from the vault, but from the fate others had forced on her. He landed the ship near a field of yellow grass. The air was warm, the wind soft, birds with glassy wings flew overhead, and strange trees swayed gently in the breeze. Daxon stepped outside, holding Nara's hand. She looked around with wide eyes. No cities, no ships, no soldiers, no soldiers. Only nature. They had come to live, not run, to build, not hide. Weeks passed. Then, months, they lived in a small home made from stone and ship parts. Daxon farmed the land, fixed broken machines, and taught Nara how to cook, read, and laugh. For the first time in years, he smiled without fear. Nara grew quickly. Not just in size, but in thought. She learned languages from old books, painted stars on the walls. Sometimes she sang in a voice that made flowers open early. The land responded to her not in fear, but in peace. But peace, as always, does not last forever. One morning, a small shuttle appeared in the sky. It didn't come with weapons, no armies, no threats. Just a single craft with 2 passengers, 1 human. 1 alien, both unarmed. Both cautious, Daxon stepped out with his blaster at his side. Nara stood behind him, eyes calm. The alien woman stepped forward first. She was tall, with silver patterns on her skin and soft eyes. "My name is Vel," she said. "I speak for the new Concord." "The what?" Daxon asked. "The galaxy has changed since the vault collapsed." Vel said, "Empires fell, old secrets burned. The Empress vanished. People started asking questions. Rumors spread about a human who protected a child, and a child who refused to destroy. The human beside her stepped forward. "I'm Toan Hay, representative of Earth's Unity Council." He looked at Nara and smiled. "We didn't believe it at first," he said, "but now we do." Daxon narrowed his eyes. "What do you want?" "Not control," Vel said quickly. "Not power," Turn added. "We came to learn," Vel said. "We want to understand her, not use her." Nara stepped forward, standing between them all. Her voice was quiet, but strong. "I will speak," she said. "I am not a key. I am not a weapon. I am Nara." Turn nodded slowly. "Then let us hear your story, Nara." For the next few days, they listened. Nara showed them visions not of war or power, but of life, of choices. She told them about timelines that were never meant to be, and of a human who gave her the one thing the galaxy never did. A choice. When they left, they took nothing. Only her words, and those words spread across stations and colonies. Across human worlds and alien homes, the story of the child who chose peace, and the man who raised her as his own. No one placed a crown on her head. No one asked her to lead. But her name was whispered everywhere, as a reminder that even the smallest life can change everything. Years later, a small school was built near the yellow fields. Daxon taught young engineers. Nara taught history not of war, but of understanding. Children from different species came to learn together. They built gardens instead of ships. Statues of warriors were replaced with carvings of stars and handprints. One day, a child asked her, "Is it true you could erase time?" Nara smiled and shook her head. "No," she said gently. "I could only choose how to live mine." Daxon stood nearby, watching her with quiet pride. She was never meant to exist, but she had become everything the galaxy needed. Not a soldier, not a queen, but a child who had been given love, and in return, she gave the galaxy hope.